In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear brake shoes in your Kia Soul. They're located behind your rotor, behind your wheel. I'm going to use a 21mm socket to take off the wheel. We're going to use a 14mm socket and take out these caliper slide bolts. Once you get those out, you're going to take a pry bar and gently pry away the caliper. I'm going to rest that on the top here. So now we're going to use one of our old pads. So you want to support that brake hose back there. You don't want to kink that. You're going to lean your caliper up against the back of the bracket and your old pad. And you can compress your caliper down after you break open your bleeder screw. Take off your bleeder screw cap, save that to put back on later. You're going to use a 10mm socket. All right, once you see some fluid coming out, you can close it down a little bit. Now you can compress your caliper. Make sure your drain bucket is placed underneath. Now you can tighten your bleeder up. And put your cap back on. Take out your tool. Get rid of that brake pad. And I'm gonna see if I can hang this up somewhere. If not, I'm gonna put it off to the side. I'm going to use a 14mm swivel socket. Put your bracket on the top. Take out your bolt. So I'm noticing that our squealer is on the top and on the inside as well as the front, same as the front. So make a mental note of that for yourself when you're doing your pads. All right, in order to get this back rotor off, I'm going to take this little rubber cap out of there. We're going to use an impact drive Phillips head screwdriver to get these screws out of the rotor. All right, so once you get those screws out, you can take off your rotor. All right, so you want to clean up the hub area. Use a wire brush to get in that area. You got to take off this spring. You can use a screwdriver to get it started, or some needle nose pliers. Typically what I like to do is set up my springs on the floor as to where they go, and when I take them off, I have the other side open to reference it if needed, and I also lay them down in the way I took them out. Okay, now we're going to take off this one. Again, you want to use a flathead screwdriver or some needle nose. Sometimes you got to get it cracked or unstuck. All right, now we're going to take this off. Now you're going to be able to pull these apart. Really just breaking things loose. If your vehicle looks like this, you're going to want to do that too. All right, once you get that spread out, you can now go for these. All right, so we're going to go for these. There's one on each side. Just to give you an idea, this we're going to push in and turn so that it fits through the pin. So the goal is to push it in and turn this so that it fits through and releases the spring. I'm going to use a tool like this. So these push through the back, and you can grab it, pull it out. All right, so now we have a little bit more room to access that side. I'm going to push that in, give it a little twist. And again, you're going to push it through. Okay. All right, so this adjuster is supposed to spin. This one doesn't, it's frozen. That happens often. So with the new spring kit, you get an adjuster also. So if you feel like your shoes are terrible, but your spring kit's good, you're not going to need to replace that. If this is frozen, you definitely need to replace it. Otherwise, your shoes won't go in and out the way they're supposed to when you hit your emergency brake. So typically, you take this spring off that would come out, but it looks like it's kind of solid on ours, so I'm just going to try to take this whole thing off like this. And I'm going to get it from behind. This is your emergency brake cable. Okay. As you take apart your shoes and your spring kit, you're going to want to lay it down if you've never done a job like this before. And just set it up the way you took it off, and then set up your new set above it, next to it, so you can reference it as you go. It makes your life a lot easier. You can also have the wheel off on the other side and the rotor off on the other side, just to reference that, because it should be the same on both sides. All right, now we have all that off, we are going to clean up this surface. Get the rust off with a wire brush. So now you're going to take some caliper grease, and all the high spots you're going to place some so nothing gets seized up in the future. Here's your adjuster. You're going to unscrew it so all the threads are showing for the most part. You're going to put some anti-seize on here. Make sure you get it throughout the threads, and that'll help it from seizing up. And also put some in there. All right, so this is going to be transferred to the new shoes, and pull that out. Just clean up where the connections are. And this also is going to be transferred over to the new shoes. All right, I'm going to put my e-brake cable on first. All right, so we're going to push this spring up here to get our emergency brake cable into the shoe. Like that. Make sure that rivet is up here and it sits there. Next, you're going to push your pin through the hole in the back. So you're going to feed it through the shoe hole. And then you're going to hold the cap on. And now we're going to try to get the pin through and then turn as we push. This is how it should look when it's locked in. And next we're going to do the other shoe. You're going to push your pin through. Put your shoe on. So you're going to hold the pin on the other side of the shoe through the back. Get your spring and cap ready. Try to line up either horizontal or up and down so it's easier. Lift it back and twist it on. Okay, we're going to put our bracket in with our spring on this side. Once you have that lined up, put this piece on the top. All right, put that bracket in there before you put your spring on. I use some wire cutters to hold on to my spring and pull it over the knob. All right, now that you have that on, you're gonna hook this in here, and you're gonna do the same. Pull it over onto this. All right, next we are going to put our adjuster in. The threads go on this side. You're going to move your shoes accordingly to line it up. I'm spinning the adjuster to meet the shoe, and we can put our spring on. Now you're going to anti-seize the hub. Make sure you have your adjuster turned all the way in, the smallest they can be, and fit inside the rotor. We're going to put our screws back in. That'll hold the rotor on. Once those are tight, we can adjust our brake. Right now, it moves a little bit. What you want to do is adjust it tight so you can't move it anymore, and then we're going to back it off about a turn. So we're going to push down towards the floor to spread the shoes out. A few turns. We can't turn it anymore, so we're going to go back up towards the sky. About a whole turn. And that should give you enough drag so your pocket brake is adjusted properly. Now you're going to put your plastic plug back in there, rubber plug. All right, so now we're going to put our caliper bracket on On this vehicle, the top bolt is longer because it has this extra piece here on the knuckle. Tighten these up and then torque them to 50 foot-pounds. Okay, so now we're going to put our pads in. Your squealer is on the back, on the top for this vehicle. And do the back, the front ones. All right, so now we have our pads in. We're going to put our caliper on. Start with my top bolt, hand tighten it. We're going to be torquing these to 20 foot-pounds after we snug them up. Put our lug nuts on by hand. We're going to snug these up with a 21mm socket and a star-like pattern. I usually start at the bottom and walk the tire up. All right, now the vehicle's on the ground, we can torque our wheels to 80 foot-pounds using a 21mm socket. We're going to do it in a star-like pattern, and then we're going to check it one more time just to make sure we got them all. All right, now this job's done. I'm gonna take it for a road test and I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.